Good. All right. Thank you so much for hopping in. We're going to get started with our pillar strength and movement prep class. Once I get my stopwatch set up there. All right. So starting things off, we are going to go through a set of bird dogs, some lunge and reach, and some hip cars just to get our legs and shoulders nice and warmed up. Then we're going to go through our workout with our glute bridges, curtsy lunge, snow angels, push-ups, prone overhead press, shoulder taps, leg raises, and a plank. So going through that circuit all together, getting a little bit of a more upper body focused circuit through the middle of the workout there, but then finishing off with some stretching and a nice cool down routine at the end. So without further ado, we're going to get started here. The first thing we're going to get going is our bird dogs. So we're going to be down on our hands and knees, extending opposite hand and leg out, sucking our belly button to spine, pressing the ground away through both the hand and the knee, trying to get a nice 50-50 split, coming back down and switching sides, locking out the toe all the way through to the fingertips, sucking that belly button to spine, trying to feel that connection there. Nice hold, and we're going to switch again. One more on each side, balancing out. Coming down and extending back out. And coming down. Good. Next up, we're going to do our lunge and reach. So getting onto one knee, bringing our other foot out in front. We're going to suck the belly button to spine, lunge those hips forward, keeping our chest nice and upright. We're going to bring one hand up and over, stretching out into that front hip there. And coming up again and dropping down into the stretch, reaching a little bit further, coming back up and dropping back down, getting that hip nice and open and dropping back up, switching sides, getting our other foot forward, driving into that front hip as we bring that hand up and over, nice and easy. We're going to extend back and drop back down. Coming back up and dropping back down. Good. Next up, we're going to do our hip cars. So going to go onto our hands and knees here. And from here, we're going to pick one knee up, bringing our heel up over. So bringing our heel up. From here, we're going to open the knee up and bring it up towards the hip and come down. Other direction, bringing that knee out to the side, rotating around and dropping it back down. Now switching sides here, using our other knee, we're going to extend the leg up, rotating up and open and coming back down. Then bringing the knee out to the side, swinging up and rotating back around, dropping the knee down. Good. You're going to go one more on either side in each direction. So extending out, around, and down, back out, around, and down, out, around, and down. Last one, out, around, and down. Good. All right. We're going to hop into our circuit routine now. So we're going to lay flat onto our back, with our feet and heels down on the floor, hopping into our glute bridges to start. So there's two variations you can do here. The first one is just going to be our standard, driving the hips up into the air, creating a nice flat line from the shoulder through the hips to the knees, and holding at the top for 5, coming back down and up. The second one is going to be a single leg bridge where you can extend one leg out in front, popping up onto one leg, holding for 5, and then switching to the other side. So you can try either one out. The single leg is going to be a little bit more challenging though. So if you just want to give that a shot, extending out back and forth. If not, we're just dropping those hips down very slow after a 5-second hold. And lowering down. Good. Next up, we're going to get into our curtsy lunge. So standing up onto our feet, we're going to get our feet just about hip width apart. From here, we're going to step back and behind, crossing our toes over behind the ankle and lowering down. So a little bit of a cross behind the back foot and twisting back and forth. Doing our curtsy lunges here. Nice, even pace. Just trying to get a little bit of a different load through the leg here as we step that back foot behind. Keeping the weight over the midpoint of the foot still. A few more seconds. And good. All right, next up, heading into our snow angels. So getting down on the ground, we're gonna lay onto our chest, hands extended out front. We're gonna pop the hands up into the air, sweep, nice, large extension out around, bring the hands behind the hips, and come back up top, big pressing extension and down to the ground. Creating, popping up, sweeping the hands out to the side. Big long reach out as far as those fingertips will go. Back and forth. Nice even pace. And down. Very good. Next up, we've got our push-ups. So we're just going to do a 2-to-2 count for our push-ups, which means even pace, 2 seconds down, 2 seconds back up, as opposed to our eccentrics where we might be going slower. And again, you've got 2 different variations here. You can bring your knees down to the floor and lower the chest down. 1, 2, 1, 2. Or pop those knees up, suck the belly button to spine, lower the chest down. 1, 2, 1, 2. Pressing the ground straight through the elbows and the shoulders, all the way into the chest. Holding that orange, squeezing it with our shoulder blades. Keeping our shoulders in a nice and strong position as we press down to the ground. Couple more. And done. Good. Next up, we have our prone overhead press. So we're going to lay down on the ground, hands starting at the shoulders. We're going to bring our chest and hands up, extend them out overhead, Bring them back down, pointing the elbows down to the hips and extending back and forth. Keeping those shoulder blades pinched down, squeezing that orange through the back. Couple more. And done. Good. Next up, we've got our shoulder taps. So either in the knees down position or toes extended, we're going to get our hands just a little bit wider than the chest, right underneath the shoulders, and alternating. One hand touching the opposite shoulder, keeping our core and our hips nice and tight. Still keeping those shoulders pulled down and away from the ears, squeezing that orange through the back. As we go, a few more seconds here. Tapping back and forth. And rest. Good. Next up, we have our leg raises. So, getting flat onto our back. Legs extended out. You can bring the hands underneath the hips for a little bit more leverage. And extending the toes all the way out, you're going to pull belly button to spine, pull that lower back into the ground, and bring the legs up. Lowering slowly down, nice and in control. Keeping that lower back pulled into the ground the whole time. Nice even pace. Bringing those toes up and lowering back down. Nice and in control, not letting the hips swing too much. One more. And done. Good. Next up, we've got our plank. Little 30-second plank, and then we're going to start back up at the top, all the way with those glute bridges. Almost there, about halfway through. Time to kick it into gear. So, getting our elbows down to the ground, we're going to press our hips into the air, up onto our toes and our elbows. Sucking our belly button to spine. Staying nice and flat through our plank here. Driving the ground away through the elbows. Shoulders pulled away from the ears. Holding, keeping those hips up. And down. Very good. All right. Starting back up at the top, we're going into our glute bridges. Laying down on our backs. Feet flat on the floor. We're going to either do the 2 feet or single leg. Holding up for 5 seconds, driving through the heels, bringing our hips up, creating a nice straight line from shoulders through the hips to the knees, like a diagonal just shooting off the ground. Slowly lowering down if you've got those hips, single or double leg, and driving back up. Slowly lowering down, coming up, sucking the belly button to spine, getting those lower abdominal muscles engaged. Lowering down, down, And last one. Keeping those hips up in the air, driving through the heels. And lowering down. Good. Next up, we're going to get into our curtsy lunge. So feet starting about a little bit wider than hip width. We're going to step back behind, crossing that back foot, and lunge down. Moving back and forth. Getting a little bit of a rotation on that leg as we step that foot behind. Moving back and forth, side to side, keeping that chest nice and proud. Weight over the middle of the foot. Easy does it. And done. Very good. Next up, we've got our snow angels. Favorite. Going down to the ground. Chest down. We're going to start with our hands extended out in front. Bringing our hands up off the ground, we're going to sweep them out to the side. Reaching all the way out, getting them behind the back and our hips. Coming back up front, sweeping up, rotating the hands around as we come through. Right as you get about halfway through, you want to flip your hands over so your palms are facing towards the ceiling as they're at the lower back, and then palms are back facing together out in front. A few more. And done. Good. Next up, we've got our push-ups. So getting our hands slightly wider than the chest, directly below the shoulder. Either keeping your knees down or popped up onto the toes. You're gonna suck the belly button to spine, lower the chest down, and drive evenly through both hands off the ground. Slowly lowering down, driving through. Nice, even pace. Few more here. Keep up the hard work. And finished. Good. Next up, we've got our prone overhead press. So laying down onto our chest, we're going to get our hands by our sides, picking the hands up, chest up. We're going to extend the hands up, out, overhead, lower down, bring the elbows down towards the toes, moving back and forth, pressing those hands up, out, overhead, and bringing them back down. Trying to keep those elbows wide out to the side. Moving back and forth. Almost there. And rest. Good. Next up, we're going to go into our shoulder taps. So either on your knees or again, popped up on your toes. We're going to get the hands slightly wider than the chest. Chest over the hands and tapping back and forth, alternating opposite hand to opposite shoulder. Nice, even pace. Getting that stability through that planted arm, all the way from the ground up through the chest and the shoulder. Nice little bit of work here on the shoulders to finish things out. Almost there. A few more seconds. And done. Very good. Next up, last little bit is our core. getting our legs extended flat out, hands underneath the hips, pulling that lower back into the ground, sucking belly button to spine and bringing the feet up over the hips, completely extended out and lowering back down. Sweeping those toes up into the air, dropping down, and coming back up once you feel that tap on the heels. That's your signal to restart the pull. A few more. Couple more. And done. Good. Last little bit, last little piece of the workout is our plank. So flipping over, forearms down to the ground. We're going to pick our knees up as we pop up onto the toes and drive away from the ground. Getting our shoulders and our hips nice and level. Sucking belly button to spine. Locking in and focusing on the breath. Deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, keeping those hips up. Almost there. Keep it up and rest. Nice job. Way to finish out, way to get to work. Now we are entering our cool down and stretching phase. So the first one we're going to do is just a seated single leg hamstring stretch. So we're going to fold one foot in towards the knee, extending one foot out in front. And from here, I just reach my hand down the shin until I feel that tension in the hamstring, tension in the back of the leg, and sit there and accept the tension for physical stress and try and use my breath to relax the muscles, relax into the stretch, release the tension and the stress from my body. Try and tell the muscle that it's okay to be stretched. It's fine to be at this length. From here, we're going to switch sides, extending the other leg out, bringing our foot into the thigh, and reaching out. Stretching into the hamstring, the lower back, calf, however far we can get down the shin. Trying to lower that chest down towards our knee. And relaxing. From here, we're going to fold one leg back behind us. So you can keep that forward leg extended out. Bringing that foot that was folded into the inside of the other leg is now on the outside of its same leg. From here, we're just going to drop down, stretching into the quads, the hip flexors, through the knees, into the ankle a little bit. Slowly, slowly dropping down as far as you can go. Again, trying to just tell the muscle to relax. It's fine to be stretched. And popping back up, extending our leg out, rolling to the side, and folding the other leg back. We're going to lay back down or drop to the elbows, however far you can take yourself comfortably. You should be able to relax. You shouldn't be uncomfortable through your stretching. It will be discomfort, but comfortable discomfort. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. And rolling off to the side, extending that leg back out. From here, we're going to do one more, which will just be the butterfly. So bringing both feet into the middle, bottom of the feet touching each other. Trying to scooch those heels in as close as you can. And using your elbows, you can press the knees down and lower the chest towards the heels, stretching through the lower back and the hips. Trying to lower that chest down, closer and closer to the ground. Breathing out and extending the legs forward. And concluding our session today. All right, thank you guys so much for coming in. I hope you enjoyed the work that you put forth. Don't forget to check out all of our other classes. You guys do a great job of staying attending. So keep up the great work.
Thank you, Quinn.